And then Jodie Breckenridge, I got to meet her. She was in charge of PAC area. So we have the big boss up there, and then we have Pacific and Atlantic area right underneath. So there's Jodie Breckenridge, a really great lady to talk to. I've met her briefly when she was in command, and really wonderful lady. So we have a lot of women up there now. Yeah, and then current statistics, there's about 6,000 to 7,000 women in the Coast Guard. It's the 0.5% of the 0.5%. And it's an awesome service to be in. It's an awesome service to be in as a woman. Pretty much ever since 80s, 90s, all the ratings are open. There's no restrictions as far as you can't do this, you can't do that. No, everything is open. And as far as the military trauma, they just said we had a lot of training on that, a lot of initiatives going on, and they said you cannot go anywhere in the Coast Guard if you do not fully support this and fully make sure that this doesn't happen again. I mean, the common sense up there and says this is not happening in my service, not now. And so there's a lot of good stuff going on. So thank you very much. Let's see, next was yeah, Melissa, who do you want to go next, please? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you very much. I wanted to introduce everyone to Assemblyman Ken Cooley. This is his district, and he was kind enough to come by, put it on his calendar. So he wanted to just say a few quick words here. Thank you so much, Assemblyman, for coming by.
Well, I just want to say thank you all. It's actually very inspiring to sit in this room. I was at the Capitol this morning. There's an MS walk happening, folks with MS. And, you know, that I sort of feel like my day today, I guess the theme of the day is sort of journey. Folks who have MS, that's a diagnosis, that's a journey. They're going to walk that journey. You go to an MS walk and it is filled with people who have MS. It's filled with their supporters. And it's very much people are on a journey and others are with them on the journey, and you take it one day at a time, one moment at a time. And I think that's sort of what I heard here. I walked in with, as you were speaking, and found your remarks very inspiring. And the idea that you served, to value yourself. You know, I feel old, but I'm young enough. I didn't serve in Vietnam. Two of my older brothers served in Vietnam. So I just want to say thank you for your service, for your devotion to yourself, to your nation. This idea of knowing your story that I heard from you. Know your narrative. Know what you are proud of. Know what you have accomplished. Don't let anyone have a different narrative that they bring to you. I just want to say, you know, be proud and satisfied with who you are and continue to aspire. And in a day like today, I just think that it's so terrific that this is convened. And I know this is the first. I know there are lots of different types of services, resources. Services in buildings out this way, resources out here. And I just encourage you to avail yourself of those. I was a founder in the city of Rancho Cordova, and later this month we will have our 27th Kids Day. And so we had a first year once with Kids Day, and now we're a quarter century later. And how does an event acquire a life? Well, Kids Day in Rancho Cordova is a place where any parent can come with their kids and have a wonderful day. But there's all manner of services there, all manner of resources. And I just know that parents have things that keep them up at night. And Kids Day went from being a one-time thing to something that now is a quarter century later, because every parent that comes knows at Kids Day they can come, have a great day with others and with their kids, but walk around and just find things that touches some part of what keeps them up at night. And I know this is what today offers. And so I definitely, as I say, I am the assemblyman in this area. It is an honor to be here. I'm very grateful to have come in and caught a portion of the program. And I just say take advantage of it. Just think about what keeps you up or what keeps a friend up so you can learn something that may help someone else. And then I know, because this is also how a one-time thing becomes an institution, I know sometime in the course of the day people will say, if you have any suggestions for how we do it next year, take that to heart. Make sure you contribute your ideas on how this could be even better, how it might serve someone even better than it is going to serve them today, and contribute that to the greater good. So again, I just want to express my thanks for being here. It's very much an honor to be with you, and I wasn't expecting to come up and speak. I was enjoying sitting there thinking, you know, this is going to make me a better California state legislator, more understanding, more sympathetic. So I thank you just for the honor to be here. But I honor you all. Very good. Okay.
Thank you. All right. All right, Air Force, let's stand up. Woohoo! Look at that.
Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon. I don't know. Or morning. Good morning and afternoon. I don't know what time of the day it is right now. Anyway, my name is Danielle Marshall. I am here with Liz Lynn, and we are our proud Air Force veterans. We are and will always be American Airmen. So we want to just tell you a little bit about how women have helped to rewrite the story of the United States Air Force. This is our Air Force song. I'm not going to sing it to you because that was just not my gift. But I'm sure there are many of us in here who had to memorize this song over and over and over again. I think I can probably still hear the music in the background. So this is just a brief history about what people think women in the Air Force are like. So we're going to go ahead and play this. No? Okay, just kidding. Just kidding. So on that video, there were stories from women who people said, oh, you're in the Air Force, that means you must fly planes. Who in here is in the Air Force who's never flown a plane before, right? Who in here do you think it probably is a great idea you didn't fly a plane? That would be me. They would say, oh my goodness, you don't look like a veteran. Well, I'm sure we've heard that story here a ton of times, but I ask now to this day, well, what am I supposed to look like? I don't quite understand. They would always also say, oh, are you strong enough? You don't look like that you would make it through the Air Force. Who in here has heard that story before? Or through any boot camp in general? Raise your hand. Oh, you're too prissy. Yeah, okay, but I can shoot better than you. But anyway, that's another story altogether. This is our Airman's Creed. This is another thing that I'm sure all of the service have connected. It's going to be a little bit different based on the service, but something still equally as important. And it's something that we as American Airmen women understand and live on a day-to-day basis. So this is just a brief history of our Air Force timeline. It wasn't until 1947 that we were actually separated from the Army and became the Air Force. A lot of people say, oh, you know, back in World War I or back in, well, it took us a little bit, so. Oh, top down, right? There we go. So this is women in the Air Force. In 1917 to 1918, during the last 2 years of World War I, women were allowed to join the military. The crazier thing is, a lot of times men thought it was just our duty to help our husbands in military. No, but it's okay. It's all right. Is it? Is it? 1941, we had over 400,000 women serving at home, abroad as medics, ambulance drivers, pilots, administrators, nurses, and other non-combat roles. And in 1948, the Congress passed the Women's Armed Services Integration Act, granting us permanent status in the military, so we weren't just assisting people anymore. Just some women of note. These are the first 5 enlisted women in the Air Force. On July 8th, 1948, Esther McGowan Blake became the first woman in the Air Force, enlisting in the first minute, so she was just a little eager. And in 1991, Congress authorized women to actually fly combat missions. So though we've come a long way, it wasn't until just recently that we could fly in those combat missions. In 2004, Colonel Linda McTague became the first woman commander of a fighter squadron in the Air Force history. And as of September of 2014, there are only 6 AFSCs, or Air Force Specialty Codes, that women are not yet allowed to serve in. That's roughly 3,000 jobs. Mostly combat related, yeah. Maggie Gee Hazel Ling, she was one of the first 2 of Chinese Americans able to serve in the Air Force, and she went in through the WASP program.
Can I add, there's a children's book about her life?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Okay. Definitely great information, so we could definitely find out more information about this amazing woman. So I'd like to also highlight the women of Tuskegee. Anybody seen the movie Red Tails? Yes. So we know that there was a huge debt of service that are owed not only to our Air Force, but our African Americans in the Air Force. Did you know that as of the beginning of this war, as an African American, you were not allowed to be a pilot? That you actually had to go through civilian training to get a pilot's license in order to fight for your country, which was crazy. But I think a little known fact is that Mary McLeod Bethune was actually one of the first women pilots, and she, along with Eleanor Roosevelt, helped to pilot a program so that African American women and men were able to serve as pilots. But again, we served in many other positions. So, and it wasn't until 1941 that we could even do that military as a whole. But again, remember the Air Force, we're kind of a baby service though. So these are some women pilots, aviation then and now. So we have some of the first, and then I have actually my really good friend Riley Reese. She's a C5 commander, and she still, to this day, when she has an all-female crew, people look at her assuming that she's the flight medic, which is really kind of interesting, right? And she's like, no, I'm the pilot, have a seat. So in 1976, the first females were admitted to the service in the academies in the U.S. military. So that included West Point, the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, and we could be then trained in military science. I myself was a clinical laboratory scientist in the Air Force. It wasn't until 1976 that I would have been able to do that in the first place. I was not an officer, but can I have a hand of officers who served here? So it wasn't until 1976 that you could attend these academies. How about my enlisteds? Raise your hand. A lot of these science operations weren't open up to the enlisted because they didn't think that we had the brains to be able to do those. On the far right-hand side, all of those, 3 of those women are now captain and majors. They were airman basics and senior airmen then. And then I think there's 1 senior master sergeant. I feel a little bit old now because those were all my students in the United States Air Force, which are kind of crazy. They're biomedical, they're nurses now, RN. Some of them are leading the fight with the Zika virus. Not too long ago it was Ebola, but they're actually championing the research to help to heal the rest of the world right now, which is absolutely amazing. And then there's been a long, rich history of multiple cultures in our Air Force. So right here, this is Air Force Master Sergeant Shenandoah Ellis Elmer. She's an intelligence analyst at Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane, Washington. But this is just an homage to those who continue to serve. So yes, there's a lot of service that happens in the military, definitely in the Air Force. But what about the indigenous people who have been serving this country and continue to serve this country from day one? She was actually the first woman in her family to serve in the military. Just one of many thousands of Native Americans who are serving or have served their country in uniform. So these are what's going on today that are proudly serving today. So 18.9% of the enlisted corps as a whole are women. 20.3% of the officers in the enlisted corps are women. 55% of the female officers are line officers, 45% are non-line, and 58,000, almost 60,000 of us are in combat, or excuse me, not combat, but are in service today. We make up 15% of the United States military, 1.3 million active duty services. So this doesn't even include guards and reservists. So we are a force to be reckoned with, as Melissa has said. There is so much power in 15%. And even with that, do you realize that's less than 1% of the greater population of this country that we serve here? So thank you all for what you do. You deserve a pat on the back for that. just additional AFSCs and additional opportunities that we have. Again, in the Air Force, you're not just a pilot. You can be a doctor, a lawyer. You can work on color guard. There's actually a basketball team. Anybody like basketball? I love it. Yes, a women's basketball team. Drill sergeants, they actually just boasted at Lackland Air Force Base that they had an all-female TI squadron that was there, first time in history. So more air crew, all-female air crew. And this is just the WASP designation, getting the Congressional Gold Medal from the President of the United States.
The lady on the right is Colonel Nicole Malachowski. She spearheaded this initiative, and she is the first woman that ever flew with the Air Force Thunderbirds. And now she is the executive director of the Joining Forces Initiative under Michelle Obama.
Great to hear. We are, definitely. And I think, you know what, that's just a testament to the knowledge and the understanding that we have here in this room. We heard our speaker say earlier this morning to make sure that you're networking and that you're building relationships. That's information that I would otherwise not have known, and I'm sure, raise your hand. Maybe you don't have to raise your hand. I did not. I did not know that. I did just recently meet the first adjunct brigadier general, African-American adjunct brigadier general for the Maryland Post of National Guard as well, Linda Singh. So, great story. All right. So with that, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to turn over the mic to Melissa.
Thank you, Danielle. Is Jackie or Cherie here? Oh, no. Okay, well, the person who's supposed to do the Marine Corps one is not here, but can I get the Devil Dogs to stand up? Anybody? Come on, I know, oh, there she is, there she is. Give a little, all right. There you are. Thank you. All right.
Do you want me to take a seat now?
No, can you?
Good afternoon, good morning. For some of us that are in different time zones, thank you for coming. It's technology.
And she owns a solar energy company.
Okay, got it. I must say, I am so very impressed of the services and the representatives that have stepped forward today and have shared so many stories. And I want to thank you for being here, every single one of you, to empower women veterans and our movement of being recognized. Thank you. All right, we put together a slide to introduce the Marines. I do notice that there were several that stood up. I don't want to really tell you my age, but when I was in the Marine Corps on active duty, there was less than 0.03. Okay? Today, at the end of the slides, I'm going to show you what kind of progression we've achieved during this time. I wanted to start out with something that is a little bit more recent to tell you that we are making strides. Sergeant Major Angela Manis has taken over one of the largest, oldest posts of the Corps in 2013. This is important to me because when I graduated from Military Police Academy, as the honored graduate, the commander said, "What post would you like to stand?" And this was my post, but it was not available to me. So I ended up on the West Coast at Marine Division 3rd Wing, Air Wing in El Toro, which at the time was going to become the West Coast White House with President Reagan. We have a number of leaders in the Marine Corps moving up in the billets, which is very promising. Lieutenant Colonel Allison Thomas. We also have made strides, and I heard earlier, FET, and and sometimes we get caught up in the acronyms, but these are female engagement team members. And for those of you that don't understand the trend, we need females to go in to these tribes and the locations and talk to the women. We need to educate the women, and the men that are there are embracing this movement. And we have been called out on more than one occasion now. At first it was just a female engagement team standalone. Now we have lieutenants and captains in the field saying, oh no, I'm not going into that village unless I have a FET team. And that's what we're trying to achieve out there. We have some interesting billets. Okay, the history, we started out in 1918, but you'll notice from 1918 to 1943, 1945, women Marines were reservists. We were the standby reservist support personnel to the Marines that were deploying, and we were the admin staff to make sure that their Social Security numbers or ID numbers were logged before they departed. In the 60s, we took other steps. We became not reservists, but we were recognized. We started moving up in ranks, warrant officers and master sergeants. In the 70s, we took a couple other strides. We mentioned 1976 earlier. That was a big year for a number of branches. 1978, Marine Corps Colonel Margaret Brewer was the first brigadier general. Moving through our war against terrorism, we have a number of leaders that have stepped up. We have Captain Renus Armour, the first American African female combat pilot. 2005, Corporal Ramona Valdez and Lance Corporal Holly A. Charlotte were the first women Marines killed on deployment on active duty. 2006, again, we saw some movement in some of the major combat arenas, and then, of course, with the military experience in country, now we have women that were qualified to take the next step in their promotions. Now remember, unless you were in country, you were not promoted after a certain rank. You didn't have the experience. So you didn't have it in your sheet to stand up, even if you had the top-notch scores. For example, myself, top-notch scores, met all the physical requirements, passed the PTs, but they weren't open to women. We're changing that, and that's what we're sharing with you, that empowerment. Things are changing because of all of you out here that have come before, for those that are going to follow. History of the female Marine, Angela Salinas. Excellent story. She was enlisted. She stepped up to the plate, got what she needed as far as the education, and she became the first Hispanic brigadier general in the course. Motivational. If you ever get the opportunity, excellent. Okay, 2011, Brigadier General Loretta Reynolds, first female Marine commander of the Corps. You know, Parris Island, everybody goes, Parris Island, oh my God. You came out of Parris Island? It used to be the Hollywood Marines and Parris Island Marines. She's taken it on. And today, women serve in 93% of all occupational fields, 62% of all billets. Again, we're still kind of sliding behind the billets in comparison to what I've heard up here. However, women now constitute 7.11% of the Corps and the strength of the Marine Corps. We're still at 7.1, 7.11. We've got some room to grow, right? I wouldn't be doing this justice if we didn't bring up what has happened in the last couple of years. in the fight in the war against terrorism. Some strong characters, individuals that have dedicated their lives. And then still moving forward, this is the example that I follow. Okay? She's out there, she's talking, she's joining the services. It's women veterans. Yes, we're Marines. Yes, we're Air Force. We're Coast Guard. My goodness, Coast Guard? Huh. Is that a service, really? Come on! She's joining us. We're here, and we're not going anywhere. And we are going to unify this group to the Women Veterans Alliance.
All right. You know how to save the best for last. I know, I'm a little partial. Yeah. Somewhat partial to the Marine Corps. I've been married to a Marine for 20 years, and that's a whole other story. It's like, how did that happen? All right, Navy, let's stand up. Come on, shipmates. Look at that. All right. So this is one of my shipmates, a true shipmate, even though we didn't serve on the same, we served on the same ship, but not at the same time. So it was very interesting. We both served on USS Acadia. Where's Jennifer? There's Jennifer. So Jennifer and I were actually both on the same Westpac, didn't know each other at that time. We were stationed off the coast, or we were anchored off the coast of Somalia, so we were back during Operation Restore Hope together. Didn't realize it till we got together and started talking about, 93, we're out there, Christmas, out there in the heat. And so we started sharing, where were you stationed? Come to find out we were both on the Acadia. Then I go down to LA to a Women Veterans event, meet Linda, find out she was also on the Acadia. So my shipmate, and actually she's moved up here to Northern California, and I've really embraced my shipmate here, Linda. So thank you so much for putting the presentation together.
All right, good afternoon. Good morning. This is the best branch. When people ask, what branch did you serve in? There is no other branch. United States Navy, we do it all, okay? Microphone. Oh, sorry. That's me. I was in aviation ordnance once upon a time. I had 4 different jobs in the Navy because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, okay? And that's one of the best pictures I have in uniform, so that's why it's there. All right, I'm going to give a little synopsis of us. Women in the Navy, we started in 1861 to present. The 19th of June in 1861, a Navy Department circular order finally established the designation of nurse. That's how we got started with Navy nurses, to be filled by junior enlisted men. Can you believe that? During the American Civil War, several African-American women served as paid crew aboard the hospital ship Red Rover. How many people have heard that, Red Rover, Red Rover? Okay. In the Mississippi River area, and they were nurses. The names of those 4 nurses on Red Rover were Alice Kennedy, Sarah Canoe, Ellen Campbell, and Betsy Young. This is one of the first 20 Navy nurses that were selected by Congress in 1908. We were also known as WAVES. Even when I joined in 1973, we were still being called WAVES. And what that acronym stood for was Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service. And it was a World War II branch of the U.S. Naval Reserve. And 21 July 1942, Congress signed into law by the President on 30 July 1942. U.S. Navy accepted women in the Naval Reserve as commissioned officers. That's where that should go. At the enlisted level, effective for the duration of the war for 6 months. So when they enlisted, they could only enlist for the duration of the war plus 6 months. Mildred McAfee became the first director of the WAVES, and she was commissioned as a lieutenant commander in the Navy on 3 August 1942 in the Naval Reserve. Again, we're talking about the waves. After the war, U.S. Congress passed the Women's Armed Services Integration Act, 12 June 1948, and it allowed women to gain permanent status in all military branches. Women's Armed Services Integration Act on 7 July 1948, 6 women were sworn into the regular Navy, and those names are listed. And on the 15th of October, 8 women were commissioned as the first female officers of the regular Navy. Now, we do have some firsts. The first to enlist was Philadelphian Loretta Walsh, who enlisted in March of 1917, and she was the first yeoman. Our first director in World War II of the Waves was Captain Mildred McAfee, the first woman to attain the rank of E9, which we call Master Chief. That was by YNCM and whatever in 1959. The first woman to attain the rank of Rear Admiral was Fran McAfee, and as you notice, I think she was one of the first nurses as well. And no, she wasn't. The first woman in nursing was Rear Admiral Durbeck. She was the first admiral. We've always had a tough road to hoe as women in the military, and we owe a lot to the people and the women who served before us, because the ones who served before us, we walk on their shoulders. And then the women who come after us, they're walking on our shoulders. We had Susan Ann Cudahy. She was the first Korean American female gunnery officer in the United States Navy. I had a chance to meet her and her son last year, and she died June of last year. Fantastic lady. The first person to fly on the aircraft carrier was Airman Kelly Cunningham. She was the first woman to handle the deck aircraft. In 1858, the first armed U.S. Navy ship was named after a woman. In 1945, the first warship named for a woman by the Navy and the first USN ship to take part in combat operations was, remember the nurse Hickabee? That was her. The guided missile destroyer Hopper was commissioned DDG-70, and it was after Admiral Hopper, Grace Hopper there. She was on active duty still when I joined in 1973, and she is thought to be the pioneer of computers. She retired in '67, but came back on active duty in '86 and died in '92. On 3 March 1945, a young flight nurse by the name of Ensign Jane, whatever her last name was, made history on the Iwo Jima. And she was aboard the first plane to land for aerial evacuation on a recently secured airfield. She was also the first class of nurses that finished flight indoctrination 22 January 1945 at Alameda Naval Air Station, going toward the bay here. And she became the first flight nurse in history to set foot upon a battlefield. We have the first female chaplain in the Navy in 1973. 1973, the Secretary of the Navy authorized women for aviation training. And we also had the first female flight surgeon. We also had Lieutenant J.G. Judith Nofer, who was the first woman selected for flight training. Women OCS was designated in 1973 as OCS versus women OCS because they were integrated with the men in Rhode Island. Navy Medicine Commander Laura Salton Clark was the first astronaut, and she also lost her life, unfortunately. And 1975 is when Congress authorized the admission of women to the military academies. Now, when someone mentioned the last one here, pregnancy as a reason for mandatory separation was abolished, when I joined in 73, if you got pregnant, you were automatically gone. There was no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And the fiscal year at that time ended June 30th, and it began July 1st. July 6, 1975, I found out I was pregnant. I had just missed the cutoff. And I had an option at that time, stay in or get out. So I said, okay, I'll get out, but I'm not getting out until my due date. So they said, well, you do know that if that child comes before then, you're still in. Oh, no problem. That little sucker came February 20th, and he was due March 1st. How many people saw Captain Phillips, the movie Captain Phillips? With Tom Hanks, yes. This is your admiral who was on the ship who made all of these decisions. She is now a 4-star. That's Vice Admiral Michelle Howard, and I am so proud of her. Thank you for your service, everyone. But just remember, the Navy is the best branch. And wait a minute, and remember, when you look at the emblem for the U.S. Marine Corps, it says United States Navy, U.S. Marine Corps with a globe in the middle.
I remind my husband of that every day, every day. All right. So we have 11 minutes left. We're just going to do a quick wrap up. Oh. Yes. I only give you 1 minute because we're on time restraints.
I just retired for 27 years, 3 months, and 21 days in the United States Public Health Service. I'm delighted to be here. This is my first event post-retirement. I know that this is a new opportunity for everyone here, and I look forward to next year telling you about our history. I know my Coast Guard colleagues know us very well because we provide the health care to the Coast Guard, and we serve in every agency of Health and Human Services, as well as many DoD sites serving alongside our officers are treating those with PTSD, sexual assault, and post-traumatic brain injury, etc., as mental health providers. So I look forward to sharing with you next year, and thank you for letting me go. Be bold.
Thank you. Oh, we have a little impromptu.
So as you all know, this is the first, and Melissa's amazing. So she put this on, and we just really want to say thank you. And it's just a small token of our appreciation. So we got her a day at the spa at the casino. So if you can stand for Melissa and just tell her thank you, I appreciate it. So.
This was extremely hard to keep secret for the past month. So every time we would get together in these dark warehouses and stuff, we're over here like, here, give me some money, give me, sign this, you know, and stuff like that. So we did a really good job of keeping it. Look what you did. Yes, it's well-deserved. Enjoy a day at the spa, sweetie.
It's in my backyard. Thank you. So being a leader and a visionary, it's not all about me. And that's something, when you're in that role, is knowing that you can't do it all yourself and you do have to ask for help. So there's a lot of I don't have time to go through everyone who's helped me put this on. But one of the things we do is want to make sure that we do thank our sponsors. So if anybody's ever put on an event, whether you planned a wedding, a bar mitzvah, you know, that's 10, 15, 100,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. So this event, even though you only paid $20 or $30 registration, that pretty much just covered you last night. So again, having our generous sponsors, which, trust me, I was dialing for dollars. A lot of these sponsors, these people I didn't know 6 months ago. But the one thing, and I've told all of these, our premium sponsors, which are going to be right out here, is I want your money, okay? But I want your partnership. I want you to tell me, yes, I want to empower women. Yes, veterans. Yes, I want to hire women veterans. And not just hire women veterans. We also have women veteran business owners. So I want companies, too, that are going to say, yes, we have a great diversity and inclusion program, and we want to bring in women veterans that own businesses to do business. So those are some things that was very critical for me developing these partnerships with Barbara at Oracle. You've got Comcast out there, USAA. I mean, it goes on and on. So please make sure that you stop by and see the vendors, because they did help for us to have this event today. And so lunch is, we're going to break in a few minutes after I just kind of go over some housekeeping. Lunch is going to be served till 1 o'clock. The Health and Wellness Center, once we break, it's going to be open. So if you came to the Mix and Mingle last night, it's not going to look like that. It's turned into a fully integrated health and wellness center. There are sign-ups still available for massage and chair. You need to go over there to get your name on there. But that's not what it's all about, the chair and the massages. That's only a small part of what's happening over there. We have a horse for equine therapy. We have a couple of nonprofits if you're looking for a service dog, because all of you know the VA does not pay for that, but they have programs to help you there. We have EMDR, if anyone's familiar with that. I can't it's on your program, everything that's going on in that house. Then the house next door, the XO's house, is our services house. We have an awesome clothing boutique for you ladies. We have stylist Danielle from the Air Force that was speaking up here. She's a stylist, so she'll be there, and she's got a great team over there. We have photos. We have Paul Mitchell's school, so that's going on over there. Then out here, the breakout sessions are going to start. So what's going to happen is this wall is going to go up, and this will be Club A and Club B. So if on your program you see Club A, Club B, that's going to be these two rooms, and that's where we're going to have our different panel sessions. Also, too, if you have a session that's in the Lion's Den, that's going to be over there by the hotel registration. So again, just make sure you look at your program, your map of where you need to go. Also, exhibitors. So we have our premium sponsors right here, and then over there in the grass area, we have about 40 different exhibitors. It's amazing the people that we have out there. But you just got to go over there. All the list is on your program. If you haven't downloaded the app, I recommend you download the app. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, please post and tag. Also, too, the app, the WUVA app. I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be Oprah today, and I have boxes of raffle prizes to give you ladies today. So what's going to happen is on that app, on the bulletin board, we're going to post your name. I was going to do every half hour. I think I probably have to do like every 10, 15 minutes. We have airplane tickets, hotel night stays. We've got, there's just little goodies from some treats to, I just can't, there's a lot of stuff. Because a lot of people said, yes, I want to help and support the women. So your name will be posted on the app, but also, too, on the registration desk, they'll keep a list of who's won the raffle prizes there. The WUVA app that's been sent out, everybody have the app? So, WHOVA. And you should have received the link if you get my email. I know sometimes I go into spam. Also, too, we have a chapel that's going to be available today. The times are on your program. The chapel is available today. We have ladies over there, so if you like to pray, we have women that will do that with you. You can go to the front, our registration desk, and they'll tell you what room number that is available in. All right. So before I get into tomorrow, also too, I didn't mention on your table, Congresswoman Doris Matsui. She's in D.C. She would have been here. I met with her a couple weeks ago. She's a fantastic supporter. She's also a military wife. And she's been a fantastic supporter of Women Veterans Alliance, our one-stop. And she wanted to make sure all you ladies got a copy of this letter. If she was here in town, she would have been here. So I want to make sure I acknowledge Congresswoman Matsui there. So all of you have got your T-shirts at check-in. So if you can, wear those tomorrow, because the plan is to take a group photo. The USAA, John, right when you first go out here, he wanted to make sure, let me know if you sign up. He's giving away $200